Hey, are you tired of the left and right politics? I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just click that subscribe button, ring the little bell, and prepare to free your mind from the traditional red versus blue. What am I going to do with Edward Isaac Dovere? He's got a best-selling book on his hands. It is called Battle for the Soul: Inside the Democrats' Campaigns to Defeat Trump. The good news is the book's great. I loved it. People who listen to my radio program will love this manuscript. It's right in all of our wheelhouse. The problem is Isaac's been everywhere. Everybody has already interviewed him about the book. Like, what is left for me to do with this man? This is Isaac Dovere. Hi, Isaac.
Hi, how are you? I think you'll be able to get to places that others haven't. I'm looking forward to this.
Let's see. Because what I would like to do is I would like to test you on how well you know your book. And as you will soon learn, there's a common theme to my questioning. Are you ready?
I don't know. I feel like maybe I should have reread it last night.
So what we're going to play specifically is who said this and why. All right.
All right.
Entry number one. I didn't think it'd be this bad. I didn't think we'd have a racist, sexist pig. Can you believe this? That fucking lunatic. Who said it and why?
That's Barack Obama speaking privately to people over the Trump years. One of the things that this book really tries to do is give you a window into what was going on with people that you know very well: Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, on, Pete Buttigieg, and use that as a way of telling the story of what was happening in the Democratic Party and in our politics in ways that go beyond what you were seeing when they would stand in front of the camera. And Obama had this idea that he needed to not trigger Trump and not give Trump fodder to make the political conversation about the fight between Obama and Trump. And that gave everyone the idea that Obama was sort of detached and not paying attention to things. He was very careful. He knows that when he says things, people are going to pay attention to them and that they'll make news. But he was watching a lot of what was happening during the Trump years, and like a lot of people, certainly a lot of Democrats, was pretty upset by it. And one of the quote that you pulled there is from donors and other people close to him who would say, like, push him, come on, say something, tell us something about Trump. And he would eventually give in a little bit, still not saying much, but there are the snippets that I got at through the book. I'll tell you, look, as a reporter, it's great when you get somebody cursing, a politician cursing, because it's always fun and juicy. But I do think that it's also great because it gives you really the feeling that they have, the unvarnished feeling.
Then let us continue with entry number two. Now, I've been advised not to try and impact the intonation, so I'm going to just read it in a straightforward fashion. I can't believe that motherfucker won. That motherfucker really won. Who said it and why?
I'm glad, by the way, that I don't have to worry about getting bleeped, Michael, that you're doing it all for me.
There's no bleeping. It's Sirius XM, and we love it. Who said it?
That's Kamala Harris. That's Kamala Harris on election night 2016. She has been elected to the Senate so she's just won her Senate seat in 2016. Of course, is in California, and so behind where most of the election results were coming in. By the time that her race was officially called for her, Trump was clearly going to be the president. And what your advice about the intonation, I think it was good. But one of the things that I get in the book is that word, motherfucker, is it's a favorite word of Harris. And she will correct people if they say it with the R's. If you say motherfucker, she will say, no, you got to not have the R's there. And so she uses it a lot, not just about Trump, but it was just, again, getting at this. She ended up giving a speech that night at her election night party that was to people who were excited she won, but not so happy that Trump won. and she gave a very high-minded speech. But behind the scenes, yeah, she was like, I can't believe that this happened, right? And again, the motherfucker gets at her real feelings about what was going on.
Shall we continue?
Let's do it.
Entry number 3. Well, that was some fucking bullshit.
That's Joe Biden, and that's Joe Biden responding to Kamala
President
Harris.
of the United States.
That's a moment from the first primary debate between Harris and Biden, when she went after him about his record on busing and said to him, I know you're not a racist, but, and one of the things that is in the book is you see all of the preparations that were going on for her campaign as they worked out what she was going to say and how exactly she was going to attack Biden. And to say you are not a racist and worry that maybe that was going a little too far, or was it the way to not call him a racist? But to Biden, it felt like she was calling him a racist and she was making an unfair attack. And so that happens, he defends himself. And then as they're going into the commercial break, he turns to Pete Buttigieg, who's just at the podium next to him. Didn't know Buttigieg very well, but was just so annoyed about what had happened that yes, he said that was some fucking bullshit. And Buttigieg, by the way, again, didn't know Biden, and he was like, whoa.
I think that was the part of it that surprised me the most. Like, I'm not surprised that that was Joe's response to Kamala Harris and the attempted takedown over busing, but that he would have said it to Mayor Pete, except I guess he's standing next to Pete. To whom else is he going to say it?
And that's what it is. It's not like he was specifically confiding in Buttigieg. It's that Buttigieg was the guy next to him.
Continuing on with entry number 4. By the way, I have page numbers in case Isaac was pushing back on any of these. I wanted to make sure I could say, well, that came from page 191. And this comes from page 197. So here we are. Quote, with what he cares about, what he fights for, what he's committed to, you get up there and call him a racist without basis? Go fuck yourself. Who would that be?
That's Jill Biden.
Jill Biden. I see. Yes, Philly girl.
Philly girl. As I point out in the book, that's her reacting a couple days after the debate, still to what happened, and showing on a phone call with some supporters, showing just how upset she was and everybody around Biden was for a long time about what happened at that debate. Yeah, look, there's a story in the book there that she likes to tell sometimes of a bully in the neighborhood when she was a kid. And her response was that she eventually marched over to the house of the bully, knocks on the door, he opens the door, and she just whacks him right in the face and turns around and leaves. I think Jill Biden is a very elegant first lady, and with the designer dresses and everything, but you don't have to peel too much away to get to that Philly girl underneath.
This may be my favorite, but this is number 5 out of 5. By the way, I could have 50 out of 50, but there's only so much of Isaac's book I can promote for him. First, I'll give you the truncated version, and I am going to say it with a little vernacular in this case. Fuck me? No, fuck you. Quote, he'd snap back at anyone who attacked him. Fuck me, no, fuck you, is how one aide described it, but he didn't like throwing the first punch. Who are we talking about?
Bernie Sanders. And that I think sums up a lot of how he goes about these things. Sanders believes that he is entitled to a lot of respect, and it's hard to argue with that, right? Given how well he did in 2016 and 2020. But his general sense of political attacks, he doesn't really like getting into the back and forth of politics. He doesn't like going negative. It's not his way of doing it, but he is very much ready to fire back if somebody comes at him. And if you go and look even at the beginning of his race against Hillary Clinton, when he came into it, he was talking about her differences that he had with her over policy and things that he wanted to do. It wasn't as personal a battle as it became. And he looks at it and he says, she started coming after me, so I snapped back. I'll fight right back. And That is, I think, important because when you look at what happened in the race in 2020, one of the big differences is that no one went at Sanders personally among the other candidates in the way that Hillary Clinton did. Most importantly, Joe Biden didn't. And Joe Biden was very careful throughout to have a good relationship with Bernie Sanders. They had been sort of amiable, friendly from a little bit of overlap in the Senate and just being around in DC. And Biden made sure to keep that relationship good. Sanders had a respect for Biden. He said, look, I don't agree with him on policy issues, but he seems to have an interest in appealing to a lot of the voters that I want to appeal to, and doing things for those people, the people who are working class, middle class, and he saw Biden as really committed to that authentically. But when it came time for the nomination to wrap up in the spring of last year, even though it disappeared, and I tracked this in the book, how quickly it slipped through the fingers of Sanders. There was about a week when everybody was absolutely sure he was going to be the nominee right before the South Carolina primary.
Okay, I want to actually that is the one non-expletive subject that I want to pursue with you, because you said this, page 296, quote, Nevada was February 22nd. South Carolina was February 29. Sanders had to keep it together for only a week and he'd probably be the nominee. And what I'm most interested in is the dynamic between Sanders and Warren. And let's just remind everybody, Isaac, what went on. So the Iowa caucus is February 3rd. It is Mayor Pete by a whisker over Bernie, followed by Warren, Biden in fourth, then Klobuchar. Now comes the New Hampshire primary. It's February 11. Bernie, followed by Mayor Pete, followed by Klobuchar, followed by Warren, followed by Biden in fifth position. Now comes Nevada on the 22nd. It's Bernie, Biden, Buttigieg, Warren is in fourth position, all setting up South Carolina. And of course, that's when Joe has his Rocky-like comeback. But my point is, Warren has done terribly so far. They are clearly fighting for the same vote. Isn't it a fair question to say, if she's really that progressive champion and on the issues closest to Bernie, then why didn't she get out of his path?
And certainly, if you talk to Bernie Sanders and people who worked on his campaign and a lot of his supporters, that's exactly the point that they would make. That Warren, had she not been in the race on Super Tuesday, still, it is almost impossible that things would have gone as well for Biden, that some of those votes wouldn't have gone for Sanders. And in fact, going into South Carolina, one of the factors was that Bernie Sanders really wanted Jesse Jackson to endorse him, which would have been helpful in South Carolina. Huge black a huge part of the electorate is black voters. Jesse Jackson popular there, from his own presidential runs, and Jackson said to Bernie Sanders' campaign, "Look, I can't endorse when there's a choice here between Sanders and Warren. So as long as she's in the race, I'm kind of stuck." When she dropped out, Jackson did eventually endorse Sanders. That was going on in other ways too. There were women's groups who were frozen and thinking, as long as Warren's in, we can't be there for Amy Klobuchar or Elizabeth Warren. We can't choose. So Warren staying in, even though she was doing really badly, that's a real question. Of course, she wasn't doing as badly as Joe Biden was, and Joe Biden stayed in the race too. And so,
but Isaac, but Isaac, the timeline to remind everybody. So February 29 was South Carolina, and now Joe wins, and it's Biden, Bernie, Steyer, Buttigieg, and Warren. Warren is now in fifth place. Mayor Pete gets out. Klobuchar gets out. They both endorse Biden, and now comes March the 3rd, which was Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Did you uncover any evidence of Obama or some other major leaders in the party going to Pete, going to Klobuchar and saying, hey, you got to get out of this, or it's going to be Bernie and Bernie will lose?
There's a lot of conspiracy thinking that was afoot that something like that had happened. I looked into it a lot. It didn't happen quite like that. Obama did call Buttigieg and he did this thing that he does often where it's like he's trying to do like Jedi mind control and trying to get Buttigieg to see that he should drop out and that think about whom he should endorse. And of course, at that point, it seemed like it was going to be Biden, right? And Buttigieg says to him, like Buttigieg gets it, yeah, understands what's going on. He says, "Look, I'm going to sleep on it." And this is the Sunday night, so the day after the South Carolina primary, and after Buttigieg has dropped out, and he says, "I'll make a decision in the morning." But I think this was a case where there was a lot of feeling among Democratic leaders of not wanting to Bernie Sanders to be the nominee, and they themselves saw where it was going. And so when Klobuchar decides to drop out, it's not even a question for her of what do you do, right? Like the presidential candidates often say that the best days of your presidential campaign are the day you announce and the day you drop out. Those also tend to be the days when you have the most power in an election. And so Klobuchar knew that she could really do something for Biden, in part just because the Minnesota primary was on Super Tuesday, and so she could have power there. But in part,
right,
because
she was finally going to get a win theoretically.
Yeah, and you know that win would have been like when John Kasich won Ohio in the 2016 Republican primary. It's like great, but it wouldn't have done anything to change it. It would have just taken a few delegates out of the Sanders Biden contest. And so, yeah.
What I come away from your book, by the way, Battle for the Soul is the book. I come away saying that Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar got out just in the nick of time to save the ship for Biden. And similarly, Warren stayed in for similar purpose. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. A final question for you, and I'm not giving it all away for free, but one nugget really impressed me in the book that you had. It sounds as if before the field was all put together and before he knew that Biden was really going to take a shot, that Barack Obama had a favored candidate, and it was none of the above. It was Admiral McRaven. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, he, like a lot of people, he was looking at who could run in 2020. And there's one of the conversations that I get out of the book is he's on a plane with a couple of his aides coming back from a Christmas party in December 2017. And he says, listen, let's play it this way. Who do you want in your head? Who do you want in your heart? And who do you think could win? And his choices are, in his heart, it's Biden because he loves Biden. But in his head, it's Bill McRaven, the commander of the Navy SEAL raid that killed bin Laden. And why? There was this feeling of maybe the right palate cleanser for going up against Trump is someone who'd be coming in from the military and somebody who'd be a statesman in a very different way, that there was a need for something else from the normal politician. Of course, Joe Biden, whatever else you want to say about him, he's been in politics for 50 years. It's a very different way of going about things than McRaven would have had. I should say, Obama wasn't the only one that I heard this out of around that time. There were a couple people who were like, hey, McRaven. And he had moved to Texas to go be the chancellor of a university there. And that it had some health problems. And I don't think he was ever all that interested in running himself, but he had also published an op-ed and done some speaking about how Trump wasn't doing right by the media and all these things. McRaven is clearly somebody who thinks seriously about a lot of issues about America, not just about being the commander of Navy SEALs.
Well, and I don't think McRaven would have made my list if he had been running. My list at the outset of this interview is what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Isaac, I wish you all good things with the book. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.